morning. I am so impressed that you are all up at this hour, because I saw you last night. Welcome, Sheryl Sandberg.
Thank you.
Can you believe it?
No. So thank you, Lisa, for this incredible thing. I am so excited to be here because Lean In is all about voice and about women having voice, and I don't think there's a better audience out there that is a better example of the power of women in voice than this audience. So I'm just so excited to be with you this morning.
I couldn't agree more. You guys are amazing. I gave a little preamble yesterday morning about what I thought of your book, and you've read what I think, so let's dig right in. You wrote that this book is what you would write if you weren't afraid. Why were you afraid?
So I think what the world does to women is they talk about or. Men can be and, professionals and parents. They can have interests, and no one ever tells them really they can't do things. And with women, they tell you it's or. And so for me, I was told by many, many people that I could be either a serious businesswoman or I could speak out as a feminist, but I couldn't do both. And one of the things that happened to me on this journey is Melody Hobson, who's here with me this morning, a dear friend of mine right over there. Local Chicago legend that she is. I met Melody a bunch of years ago, and Melanie said to me that she wants to be unapologetically a woman and unapologetically African American. And that was a really important lesson for me, and I thought about the fact that I want to be unapologetically a business executive, and I want to be unapologetically a feminist, and I think I can do both at the same time.
So, were you afraid that making statements like, sad but true, men run the world, and the issues of gender inequality worldwide are a serious moral issue? Were you concerned at all about how that would play on Wall Street or with the boardrooms you've been in for years?
Yeah, so
guys love that, right? I mean, especially in Silicon Valley.
Exactly. So they love being told that the world they've created is completely broken. So for December 2010, I was invited to give a TED Talk, and it was TED Women, but it was really supposed to be, I was supposed to talk about social media, and I wanted to give a talk on women. And everyone I knew, with Melody as one of the few exceptions, told me I was crazy, that you can't speak out on women, because get this, people will understand that you are a woman. I'm like, okay, that seems pretty obvious anyway. But for me, it's what you said. The blunt truth is men run the world. What I find so interesting is I say that on stages and the audience gasps, like, like look around, right? There's not a single country in the world that doesn't have 95% of its big companies run by men. There's not a single country in the world that has women as majority in their parliaments. There's not a single country in the world where women have nearly as much voice as men, and that needs to change. And for that to change, it's going to take you, your amazing co-founders of BlogHer, and every woman, as you are sitting there with your computers and your iPhones, blogging, not just what we do today, but what you do, you guys are changing that. It's going to take all of us working together.
Well, let me ask you about that, because as I mentioned yesterday, having been interviewed about Lean In by a number of journalists who clearly had not read the book, is Lean In only for CEOs and only for women who want to run for office?
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, Lean In is about believing in ourselves and reaching for any ambition. So I've heard from mothers, non-mothers, men, women all around the world that thinking about what they would do if they weren't afraid has really changed their lives. And the stories range from a woman who went to her school district to fight for what she needed for a special needs child, to a full-time, work-at-home mother who went in and got a better teacher for her child, even though her district had told her no, to women who are reaching for the C-suite. It's about each one of us asking ourselves what we would do if we weren't afraid, and then reaching for those ambitions no matter what they are.
So when you look at what has happened since you've launched the book, started leanin.org, can you share with us what's happening?
Yeah, it's great. I want to introduce my amazing team. We're all wearing Lean In t-shirts. Can y'all stand up, wave? Woo! We're small, but we're mighty. So Lean In has had amazing reception, far beyond our wildest dreams. So we're announcing today, right here, that we've sold 1 million books.
Oh, congratulations!
Pretty amazing.
Do you know that if a woman writes a book, it's 40% more likely to become a bestseller?
I did not, but I'm not surprised.
So you're on the right side of the aisle.
Exactly.
Please, keep.
Exactly.
Because you have, that's a huge statistic. Congratulations.
Yeah, no, we're really excited.
Is that a bestseller in the United States only? How many languages are you in? Do you know yet? Like,
yeah.
what?
So we're out in 11 languages. There'll be at least 19 more coming. We've hit the bestseller list in lots of places. It's been the #1 business book in Japan these last couple weeks. It's been exciting. But I think more importantly is what's happened with the Lean In Foundation. So along with the book, this amazing group of women and I started leanin.org. We hope you all join us either there or on our Facebook page. So again, we're announcing today we have over 250,000 community members in 4 months. It makes us one of the fastest growing and most engaged Facebook communities out there. We've had 1 million visitors to our website.
That's great.
And what we're seeing and what really matters is beyond all these numbers is the impact it's having on people's lives. So 2 women I met, 10 minutes ago in this right here, a woman named Angela and a woman named Jennifer. Where are you guys? Stand up. Where are you guys? Woo! Okay. So I'll tell their stories. But Jennifer told me that she was a stay-at-home mom, a single mom. And after reading the book, she started a company, and she gave me her business card with what is a thriving company, and I think we're all really super proud of you. Congratulations. And Angela works at a company called Kids Too, and she told me that after she read the book, she realized that her company didn't have a social media strategy, and that she could be the person to do that. So she wrote it up, pitched it, and they've gotten every property they have on social media. And that's what this is about. It's about every woman who leans in, every man who leans in for equality. It's about realizing whatever our individual dreams are and leaning on each other for the support we need to get there.
You mentioned a great point when you invoke men. I was speaking yesterday with Annie from PhD in Parenting. There she is, right here. And she said she was really interested to hear about how you are encouraging companies, maybe even your own employer, to support men who want to be more supportive of women, since women are now co-leading, if not leading, households financially.
No, that's right. It's really important. So Lean In has over 250 corporate and nonprofit partners. Everyone from, Cisco to American Express to Estee Lauder to small companies like TaskRabbit. Also nonprofits, Teach for America, the Hispanic Caucus for Congress, the Congressional Black Caucus, National Council de la Raza, all across the board, lots of different organizations. And what we're finding is that these organizations are taking the steps of talking about gender openly. Because what's really happening is we never talk about gender. We talk about it when we're with our girlfriends, but we don't talk about it where it matters, where we can tell our bosses and our colleagues the things we need to re-enter the workforce, or to leave the workforce on our own terms, or to do the jobs we have to do while supporting our families or supporting our personal engagement. And these companies are starting circles, and they're changing things within their own company, and we're really proud of all the work people are doing and excited to see the progress.
So that's really interesting, because your book is such a personal anthem, and you're very upfront for the people who haven't read the book. The first 20 to 40 pages is a preamble of, here's what this book isn't about, here's what I don't think I can change in time to help you. And since I can't, I'm sorry to summarize you like this, but since I can't, here's how I think you should change your internal game.
That's right.
So how interesting that something that has started about suggesting women change inside a system that's broken for us has evolved into meetings that are happening on corporate campuses.
Yeah. Well, we did both. So the book focuses on what individuals can do, but the book argues, hopefully very clearly, that one thing individuals can do is change the companies and institutions they work for. And so that's what we're seeing. people stepping up, forming circles, talking about gender in a new way. What the book is trying to explain is that there are these biases we have against women. And they're very deep and they start very young. So we call our little girls bossy. How many people here were called bossy as a child? Yeah, me too. How many of your brothers were called bossy?
None.
Raise your hand, go ahead. Right. So I do this all over the world. I ask audiences like this, and there are no men here, but we'll pretend I can tell you what happens. There's a couple. There's one. 2, 3. Gloria Steinem says that if you are a man and you show up to an event like this, when the inevitable revolution happens, you're going to get a pass. So this is the best investment of an hour of your time you could have made. And we are thrilled to have you. But we'll try it with our 4 men. Please raise your hand if you've been told you're too aggressive at work. No, only men, only the men. Yeah. If you're a woman, please raise your hand if you've been told you're too aggressive at work. That's the problem. And if we're going to change that problem, we're going to change that problem as individuals, and we're going to change that problem within institutions, and Lean In is trying to do both. So I've been telling people, next time you're about to call your daughter bossy, you take a deep breath and you say, my daughter has executive leadership skills.
So we asked our community on BlogHer.com and reached out across our 5,000-person Visionaries panel. Within 5 hours, we had 300 really deep, layered, open-ended responses that I'm happy to share with you and the team. But what's interesting is we asked, what is your leading fear? What is your leading fear for any changes you'd like to make? Or are you fine? Are you already addressing it, or you don't live your life that way? And we had the largest group of women who was afraid of something, were very much afraid that leaning in openly, like you have done, would threaten their economics at home, would really damage their position at their job or their earning potential. What advice do you have for the woman who's going it solo on the job, who wants to change this?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we should jump off bridges. I think financial responsibilities are real. Women are a hugely important part of supporting families, particularly single moms. You know, 30% of our kids are being raised by one parent, 85% of those are moms. But I do think that within that, women can reach. I got an email after the book and the foundation launched from a woman. She's 62. She went back into the workforce 15 years ago. She never graduated from college. As she put it, she's in a low-paying job. She went in because her husband lost his job, couldn't get another, had to support the family. 15 years, she's never had a raise. She read the book. She thought carefully about what she was going to say. She walked into her boss's office and she got one.
Right on.
And so we are, as part of the foundation, the amazing Jessica Bennett, who's here with us today, made an incredible film we want to show, if we can roll, about what you would do if you weren't afraid. It's short.
I just got nominated for my second Emmy, and I still can't say that I'm a writer.
Oh, they'll
I
bring
have
back.
the ear, you know, and I have the voice, but I feel uncomfortable calling myself a musician.
A classical ballerina is about 5'4", long legs, long arms, pretty fingers. I don't have that.
I'm afraid of being judged.
I am afraid of sounding stupid.
I'm afraid of not looking like I belong.
I'm afraid of failure.
This year, more than 1 million women will graduate from college, educated and prepared to take on the world. Are they ready?
They create this dream about going to college and finding a job and finding yourself, but really there's a lot of things holding women back.
Starting at very young ages, we encourage leadership in boys but not in girls. When a boy leads, even if it's on the kindergarten playground, we applaud him, we cheer him on, and we certainly don't criticize. But when little girls lead, they're called bossy. Over time, children internalize these messages.
I was always told that being sweet was one of my greatest assets and being nice and polite. How do you figure out the best way to realize that it doesn't matter if everybody likes you?
Studies show that by the time they graduate from college, more men than women see themselves as leaders.
For many of us, the challenge is overcoming our fears. It's asking the question, what would I do if I weren't afraid?
I once heard that there was 2 different ways to look at fear. F everything and run, or face everything and recover.
If I weren't afraid, I would have studied music in college.
If all fear were stripped away, I'd walk into the meeting and speak up.
I would march into my boss's office and demand more money.
If I weren't afraid, I would tell the guy at the halal cart whistling at me to go screw himself.
Let's change the equation. Let's stop being afraid.
It's scary, but I think I'm gonna be okay.
I'm gonna speak my mind.
It's not about not being afraid, it's about feeling the fear and letting it empower you.
I'm going to find a way to tackle my fear.
I'm not afraid anymore.
As women, we need to own our success. We need to believe in ourselves, raise our hands, take risks. We need to overcome our fears.
Go home tonight and ask yourselves, what would I do if I weren't afraid? And then go do it.
Girls run the world.
Sheryl.
So we've been asking women, what would they do if they weren't afraid? We asked Lisa, share hers, she's gonna share mine.
It's true. One of the reasons I feel like I have such an appreciation of the radical statements that Sheryl is making has to do with the fact that I have now spent time in many boardrooms and many venture capital offices having conversations with people who are shocked that women think that this is not a meritocracy. And it is fascinating the degree to which seeing statistics and feeling the reality are so different. And there are many stories like that being told, you know, at this conference and of course on your blogs. I want to ask you specifically about the Lean In Foundation, and in a few minutes we're gonna get to some more questions about you, Sheryl, personally, et cetera, because we all have a million. But what is the foundation's mission? What do you want to accomplish over the next, let's speak in huge terms for internet people, 5 years?
We want to provide women with the encouragement and support they need to lean in. We want women, and we're going to ask all of you to do it, to write out, you know, what would you do if you weren't afraid? We actually have a photo booth back in that corner. You can go take a picture there, or just, we have signs, take a picture, post it anywhere and hashtag not afraid. But what we want women to do, and men, is to believe that we can get to real equality, believe that women can have as much voice as men, women sitting at every table. We want to close the pay gap. Women get paid 77 cents for every dollar a man makes for the same job.
Or as Viviana Hurtado from the Wise Latina Club recently wrote, I'm Latina, so can I pay $55 for that $100 worth of groceries? Because I'm paid 55 cents on the dollar.
That's exactly right.
And she said it on, I believe, MSNBC as well.
No, that's exactly right. So we're running 3 programs. We have the Lean In Community, which I hope you'll all join. It's a very active Facebook community on Facebook and on our site where women are telling their stories. There's a woman here named Catherine Stone who has written, but I haven't met yet. Where is she?
Catherine, where are you?
She's somewhere. Okay, well, her story is one of them. Can't quite see her, but her story is one of them up there, and she talked about how she was in corporate marketing and she suffered really serious postpartum depression and then lost her job. And obviously that's a scary thing, but then she founded a blog on postpartum depression, and now she's running the #1 blog written on that site.
And led national legislation as well. To
she's done an amazing job. So this is about sharing our stories and conversing with each other every day, and that's our community piece. The second piece is our education piece. We have expert lectures, everything on how to negotiate for a raise, to dealing with gender bias, to building great teams. Excited to announce today that we've had 60,000 views of the lectures.
Great.
About 20 minutes each, it's a big deal. And so invite anyone, they're online for free. The idea there is we've taken material that is developed by the Clayman Institute for Gender Research at Stanford that would normally only be available to executive women who can pay high price tags, and filmed it and put it all online for free so that any woman at any stage can have access, which we're excited about.
Fantastic.
So
if you go to leanin.org,
there's the community, there's education, and the third piece is circles. And so we're actually going to have a breakout session in this room after this. I hope lots of people will stay. I'm going to stay and participate. An amazing professor from Stanford, Carol Robin, is here, and she's going to lead us through the power and an exercise which really shows the power of small group sharing, and I'm excited to participate, so join us. And Rachel Thomas, who's right there in the orange jacket, Lean In president, she's going to stay and talk about circles. We're excited. We're also announcing today that we have over 7,000 registered circles.
Oh, fantastic.
Which is pretty exciting. You don't have to register with us, so we don't actually know how many circles there are, but we have at least 7,000 because those have registered with us. And circles are small groups. We suggest 8 to 12, but it can be any number you want, of men or women who get together every month to meet and help themselves lean in. And it's been amazing what's happened. There's a circle in San Francisco I met with, and they went around the room and each one of them told me what has changed in their lives since they joined their circle.
May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Because you are very specific about the circle philosophy. It is not the same as a coffee clash or getting together once a quarter with your girlfriend for a 6-hour dinner where you tell her everything. So what is special about the way a circle gets together? And I know that some people have to speak later and not everyone will be able to stay. I'm sure many will, but can you boil it down for us? Like, what's the secret to a successful
circle? So the idea behind circles is that none of us do this alone. None of us stand alone. We all need support, and peers can be incredible mentors. We have a lot of material. We actually spent a lot of time looking at best practices, everything from health groups to support groups to book clubs to microcredit. We looked at all the best practices and kind of tried to gather them. Our recommendations on there are suggestions. We have seen all kinds of circles. There are circles that have 100 people. It's a lot to do real sharing. There are circles that have a few. There are circles that are meeting weekly, monthly. There are father-daughter circles, Asian American circles. There's all kinds of circles. Good. And so anyone can do what they want. But there's a couple things we recommend strongly. We recommend that people are really committed to getting together, if it's once a month or whatever, that they're really committed to each other. We recommend very strict confidentiality, meaning that what is in that circle stays in that circle. And that is something we heard over and over again, that small groups will stay together when there's trust and they fall apart immediately when there's not. And we also recommend that people look for peers. So it's not, if you're really sharing openly, it may not be the best place to be in a circle with your boss.
Okay.
Or your clients. Peers. People for whom you can totally share. And then we have lots of materials on how to structure them if you want to use them, but it's also, we're seeing all kinds of things happen. And we hope whatever people try, they'll come back. One of my favorite is a virtual circle of bloggers. They came together in 5 states, and then they started a blog called Breaking Glass and Kicking Ass.
That's awesome. One of the things I want to mention quickly, and I'm going to veer slightly into your role as Facebook's Chief Operating Officer, and then into a little bit more about you. One of the leading questions I got from the community when it was mentioned that we were going to talk is about the whole hashtag Facebook Rape initiative. And I wanted to know if you could talk a little bit about the steps Facebook has taken. Certainly you have your code of conduct that's been up for years, but it's a massive and growing international community. What are you all doing? How can a community like this one help?
Yeah, no, it's a really important question. I'm glad you asked. So Facebook's a user-generated site. We have 1.15 billion people who write things themselves. We don't filter that content. It's impossible to do that. So we have this really big challenge between free expression, which is really important, right? We don't want to be in the business of censoring, and creating a safe and protected community. We take both very seriously. If you look at our community codes, they are the strictest of any out there for any site at scale. We do not allow pornography, we do not allow nudity, we do not allow anything which is symbolic of rape or any of these things. We have a challenge enforcing those principles. We really do, because the content comes on and we develop technology to find things, and we really rely on people to report things. And we are doing our best to make sure the community is protected as possible. The number one thing people can do is when you find content that's inappropriate, there's a report button. Hit that report button, because we can look at and take down inappropriate content as long as we see it. And that is really important part of what we're trying to do.
Thanks. Your role as COO just had a fantastic and successful quarter announcement. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what's the future for you? Are you going to run the joint someday?
Yeah, no, I'm doing about all the leaning I can do right now. But I love Facebook. I love Facebook probably for the reasons the women in this room love writing and you love the work you do, which is that Facebook gives individuals voice. So the women in this room, you guys have voice because you can publish blogs, and you have voice. You are a successful journalist and marketer and founder of BlogHer, and I have voice. I'm, helping to run a company, but most people out there don't have voice because they can't really communicate. And if you look back, a couple decades ago, if you wanted to actually reach people, you had to be rich, famous, or own a TV station. And Facebook's helping to change that by giving every single individual the power of their own voice and their own platform to publish, and I love that. And so I'm going to continue to do it. I'm also very dedicated. I don't work on it full-time, they do, but my amazing Lean In team that is growing this community and supporting women around the world. I'm really proud of them.
You mentioned that you're leaning in about as much as you can. I know you have 2 children. What are their ages?
6 and 8.
Okay.
We just had a birthday.
Congratulations.
My daughter
Mom.
tried to make it her birthday month. Like, no, you get a day or a week, not a month. It's my birthday this month. Can I stay up late? It's my birthday this month. Can I have ice cream for breakfast, right? You've all been through that.
And you're married. So what do you do when you get stressed personally? I mean, how do you manage all the leaning in?
I watch really bad TV.
Okay. What's your favorite?
Or really good TV. Well, I just watched the whole season of Girls, which is not bad TV. It's excellent TV. And I just watched the whole first season of Nashville, which I loved.
Oh.
Yeah, awesome.
Oh, Connie. I know. Maybe next year. They're phenomenal. It's really well written. That's the interesting thing, right? So when you look forward, are we ever going to see you seek national office?
No.
Okay.
This is, again, about all the leaning I can do. I really like working at Facebook, and I love what Lean In is trying to do, and I love being able to do both.
Well, do you have any questions for us that you want us, as we draw to the end of this conversation, what would you like for us to do?
I guess it's the same question. I would want every woman here, to ask yourselves, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And answer that question. Take a picture, post it publicly, or just do it for yourself if you prefer, but really ask yourself that question. And then inspire the women who are reading what you write, to push back on sexism, to push back on the pay gap, to get women to demand what they need. Watching what's happened since Lean In has been amazing. Everywhere I go, senior executive men look at me and say, you are costing me so much money. Because all the women in my company are demanding raises. And to them I say, I'm not sorry at all. I'm thrilled. I was at a conference 2 weeks ago, and one of the men who's a CEO told me that he really started to notice how women don't physically sit at the table, which is in my book. If you look at meetings in the corporate world or the nonprofit world, in institutions, relative to level of position, more men than women sit at the center, sit at the front, and women sit at the side, and they do it metaphorically. Not all women, but more. And I think what you all can inspire women to do is sit at the table the way you all are today, use their voice to be ambitious and get whatever it is they want, and do it as Melody would do it, unapologetically.
Excellent. Well, everybody, Sheryl Sandberg.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I know we're taking a quick break, and then I hope as many of you as are interested join us back in here for our circles discussion.
And if I may, do you want to, can I quickly mention what Rachel shared with me about how to set yourselves up? If you'd like to participate in the circles, which we're going to start getting together in about 15 minutes before the sessions start, tables of 6 is what has been recommended in order to use the time that we have. And let's get everybody as close to the stage as you can. Cheryl's going to stay, walk around. Rachel's going to lead these. The professor is going to talk with us. But it should be an absolutely fantastic opportunity. And I hope you will do so. I can't emphasize enough how wild it was to be forced to write this down by Jessica. This really is the truth. And I think that the photo booth is a great opportunity. I'll look forward to seeing what we can accomplish with these photos. Thank you.
So thank you all for getting up early on a Saturday morning. Thank you, Lisa, for a great opportunity.
Thank you so much, Sheryl.